episode of Vigor Wars 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal this morning. Hope everything's going well. Hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope you guys are going ahead and following the God's rules, your Creator's rules, to be able to follow His purpose and conquesting as always. Thank you guys for all the comments. Thank you guys for all the different types of messages you send me. I think we have a lot of great topics coming up. Let me do our topic for today is going to be Western women and semen retention. So we'll see how to deal with Western women and semen retention. Moy Hernandez, thank you, my friend. Harold Merewether, Dawson Boyer, false sense of entitlement. Yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit. I like that comment. Sultan, 30 days. Keep it up, my friend. Congratulations. Kwane Richards asks, is SR healthy? We'll probably talk about that in the video. I've had videos before in the past and that, but for a lot of new subscribers and things, I've been doing this 1,170 days, I think, and I've seen nothing but positive results. I haven't had really any kind of negatives that I have seen, over time. So certainly, I think it's something for me. It's been healthy. I mean, each one of us has to make a decision on how much you do this, but that's a good question. EarGazem, thank you, my friend. Robert Stinson, 822 days. Keep it up. Gregory Bolivar, thank you. Richard Smith, should a man ejaculate every 90 days? Well, that's another one we probably should do something about and talk about that a little bit. I think that once again, everyone goes through different cycles. I don't really personally doing that. I'm trying to do monk mode myself. I'm trying to transmute as much. I don't want to lose any energy at my age. I'd rather keep it all. But I understand some of the arguments people make, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. It's a good question, Richard, you ask. Moxme 300. Al McDaniel, we talked about that a little bit. Does a drive-through guy treat you differently? Yes, everybody treats you differently when you're on retention. And you're transmuting. Antonio, thank you. Geodo92, never give up. Thank you, my friend. You too. Comment Master, thank you. Odinga Mubutu, be in monk mode all the time. That is my goal. That's one of the areas that this warrior is struggling with, trying to keep that going, because I think part of it, my friends, and this is something that we'll talk about as we delve into the topic. At 2 minutes and we'll say 40 seconds, let's talk about the topic. So we're talking about Western women. How to deal with Western women in semen retention. Well, first of all, realize that as the 1%, and maybe even higher, we have some people kind of talking about the fact that we're maybe moving up a little bit here, and that's wonderful. As you look at how we are warriors, the reason why this is important, the reason why God has led us this way, is because God has blessed us with a tremendous amount of sexual energy. Now, why is that important? Well, we need that to live. If you took animals, humans, whatever it might be, and you took away their sex drive, especially males, they would be docile. They wouldn't be able to do anything. And the reason God has given us that tremendous sex drive is not only to procreate, but also to accomplish a lot of things around the world and build worlds and do things. You wouldn't have that kind of energy to do it if you didn't have your sexual energy. This is why when people release all day long, they're soft, they're weak, they're simps, they're thirsty, because they just don't have energy to fight things. They can't fight diseases, they can't fight off lack of ambition, lack of these things, and they're worried, scared, nervous. All these things happen because you're losing your nutrients. Now, how does it affect what was going on? The fact that you're blessed means even so, more so, we have to control that nature. We have to try to put some self-control over it, because God wants us to control ourselves and not go chasing every woman around. So let's talk about Western women a little bit. In some ways, it's been kind of helping us. The MGTOW movement and a lot of things that have occurred through this. In some ways, the modern Western woman has kind of helped get us to this point. I think part of the reason, in my philosophy at least, that we're in this spot now where we're having 1%, 2%, and it wouldn't be a lot less, is because there's a lot of women in the movements who don't need men. And they've said that. Now, I think it's a lot of trash talk myself, but they say they don't need men, right? And so men are moving away, avoiding them. And as a result, you're controlling yourself more. Now, obviously, you don't want to go and release and watch images and things like that. But in a sense, what you're doing is you're kind of developing yourself. You should be developing yourself. But why is this happening? Well, let's kind of go back. And you look at women from different parts of the world, you see a whole different attitude. And really the key to the whole thing is that if you look at our Western society, they have built up women, and women has such a huge ego that they think they're the table. So if you look at TikTok, you look at the things that anytime you look at some of these modern women, especially when they're in their 20s, all of a sudden they think they're the queens. And they think that this goes back to that whole prince princess thing, that they feel like they're the princess, and whatever they say goes, right? And so the Western world has, through the media, through all kinds of things that we've seen, all of a sudden put women on that pedestal. And this is how I was brought up, thinking the same way. And so the question then always came is, why did these women, especially as I saw them in high school and college, all go for these boys that were just bad boys that didn't do this to them, actually treated them the opposite way? Well, it makes perfect sense if you think about it and logically in terms of what we're talking about here. So because it's a distorted view of women in this society, especially the Western world, you're talking about women who believe that they are truly better than men. And really, there's nobody better than anybody. We're all human beings. We all have different qualities and things. But the attitude is, I don't need a man. I don't need any of that sort of thing. And so basically, I'm going to kind of do my own thing. And men will follow me, and they'll go ahead and, ask me to marry them. And I'll have many men love me because of this kind of stuff. Well, this is such a misguided idea that's come out of a lot of these different movements over the years, that really you can see now how crazy it is, because a lot of men have decided to stop and say, no, I'm not interested. And it's blowing a lot of women's minds because they don't understand why men are not chasing them anymore. The whole model was that the man should chase the woman, and that the women are the prize, and basically women have gotten to the point where they don't need men, they're just kind of doing it for attention. And validation is a key aspect for a lot of women. And it's actually a lot huger validation. Women need to be validated a lot more than men do. And so women need validation, the attention, and they'll do anything for attention, especially if the guy is paying attention to other people. So when you look at this kind of situation you have, Warriors, you're looking at a situation where the Western woman, as we see it, especially in their 20s, feel like they have so many options, which they do at that point, that they are not concerned at all about this. They're not concerned about how they're treating men or anything like that. And for men in their 20s, I empathize, because I was through that period of time. That's a rough time for men, because you're still building your careers, you're still doing the things you're doing, and it's very difficult to actually have any kind of solid relationship, because most women are not really interested in that. They want to have fun. And so basically a lot of men wait to their late 20s and 30s to get married and actually focus on a younger woman, because sometimes the young women, depending on how they're brought up, have a whole different attitude about these type of things than the ones we're talking about. But when you see someone who believes that they are the prize, then all of a sudden their attitude is so different. Now, how do you combat this with semen retention? Well, obviously, you have to kind of what they call destroy the high inflated ego that women have. And what you're doing is basically saying, I'm doing my own thing. If I have my purpose, if I'm doing my own thing, if I'm not just kind of waiting for you and building my identity around you and thirsting after you, well, because you need attention so much, you're going to wonder what's going on here. And all of a sudden, now you're going to come back down to earth, because you're not going to be this person that I'm chasing. And they may come after you, which is why they come after you with attention, along with semen retention, with the aura, because they sense you're a different man. You're not going to be thirsty. You're not going to be chasing and giving compliments just to get person in bed. You're not doing that. You're treating that person like a human being. And this is the way it should be. But because of the Western world changing and brainwashing people into believing that women are this huge prize, then all of a sudden it's changed the whole dynamics. Now, what you can do is do the things you're doing. If you're on your purpose, you don't have to worry about this at all. And as a result, the woman will chase you. And now you have the choice of saying, who do I really want to spend time with? Who am I really going to kind of give my energy to, if anybody? And how am I going to really use that person and use them in my life? They're going to get the benefits. Women from and I've talked to many over the years, from different parts of the country and different parts of the world more than that, they look at back in the old traditional way. They want to please men. They want to make men happy as well. You don't see as much of that with the Western women because they don't really care. They think men are trash and they think this is what's going to go on. So the thing is as you look at this, you'll find a lot of warriors will go across the world to find women who basically have a different attitude. And the whole idea, guys, especially if you're married, you should be submitting to each other. Obviously, you as a warrior, your responsibility is to sacrifice yourself for protection, provisions, procreation for the family. The woman should be submitting herself to you basically for all the other types of things that we need in the family. Nurturing, relations, intimacy, all these things. But what's happened is that because of the way the world has kind of brainwashed people, basically what they're telling them to do is that you don't need men, and basically women should be happy, self-sufficient, and you can sleep with as many guys as you want because the guys do that all the time. Why shouldn't women? And all of a sudden you have it. But men and women are wired differently, and women need that validation, and they can't be sleeping with 100 different guys. It's just a different thing. Men can do that. It's a different way men and women are put together. But as long as people continue to believe that this is somehow some inferior thing, they're going to continue to find out the hard way. And when women reach the age of late 20s, early 30s, and we used to call this the wall, I think they still probably call it the wall, all of a sudden now you have women who are not getting the attention and the thirst of men. Yes, they'll still find some, males around there, they're weak simps, right? They'll still find some of those males around, do anything they want. And the thing is, and those men just have very low self-esteem. They have no confidence in themselves, and they don't believe in themselves, and they create a lack of respect. Yeah, you may get someone to marry this person because I think a lot of women want to have some kind of family at some point, and they want to have some kind of a chance for children. So by the time they hit 30, they want that. But the chances that they're going to cheat are numerous because if they've cheated if they had 100 different body counts, what's the chances they're going to be just loyal to one person? The very difficult realization once the people hit 30, they realize this. And I think a lot of Western women realize that they've been snookered into this philosophy society has given them for lots of reasons. I think it goes back to profit as far as certain people making money and profit on this. They're making a profit with this idea of demasculating males and raising women to a level. And now because of the other diva types things going on, they're actually trying to get rid of women in a lot of ways in sports and things like that. It's just an amazing type of thing to me that it's all messed up because people don't go back to the creators and the gods' rules about men and women. Men need to have masculine energy. Keep your masculine energy. Females need to have feminine energy. Keep your feminine energy. And those two merge together and they make one. And when you get married or relationships you have with a person, you should be as one. And this is why that we should have women clinging to men, because women need to get that validation from men, and men need that love and from a woman. Those type of things are things that are just natural things that need to happen. It's been doing that for thousands of years. So in this whole modern age that we're looking at, or so-called modern age, I don't think it's really that modern. This stuff has happened many years ago as well. But the idea is that you have to look for women who are not brainwashed into this idea. They're going to find out the hard way when they hit the wall, and they'll probably end up getting very bitter and more upset, but they're going to get further and further away from God. You find women who are very God-oriented or creator-oriented, you'll most likely find a woman who does not have that viewpoint. And there's lots of them in our society. It's just that the Western woman has been brought up to be assertive, aggressive to the point where they just don't need men. They don't respect men. And at some point, you as a male has to go down and gain that respect, break that high ego. And you do that by doing your purpose. On your purpose, doing those things. Don't just respond back to a text as soon as she sends it. Wait some time. And then, you can talk about being playing games, but if you're busy doing things, you're not going to have time to respond back right away anyway. Because you're too busy. So it's not really playing games. You're just doing your own thing. I guess that's the way I could say it. But don't just respond back. Don't stop all your plans because she wants you to come over. You have to establish yourself as an individual. And once you do that, her respect level, her ego will deflate, realizing she's just another one of those girls within your sphere. And that's what you have to get to, because that person will then respect you and basically be more submissive to you in that type of relationship. And women want that. Women really want to be, they want to be dominated at times. They want someone who is a man, they're fantasizing about a man who's going to dominate them. This has been told to me thousands of times. But the problem is a lot of men don't understand this, and they don't understand that they have to be strong men so that the woman feels protected. It feels safe. So this is the key to dealing with Western women. You have to still be yourself. Don't change yourself. Don't be this simpist that just goes around doing everything women want you to do just because you want your hopes to get them into bed. You want to go ahead and act like a man and not focus on that outcome. Focus on the fact that you look them straight in the eye. You're the dominant person. This is your game. If they want to play in your ballpark, fine. You can deal with that. But you're not going to play in their ballpark. You need to move ahead. There's a lot of things, God, that your creator wants you to do, and that's what you should be doing. All right, my friends. Well, thank you guys for great comments. Military of the 21st century. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, my friend, for that. And I appreciate a shout out to you, military. And, I think we have to continue looking at who we are, warriors. Continue being strong. And as I always say, two things. One, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And the reason we continue doing this all the time, and I always do the battle cry, is because we've got to stay vigilant. If we go up to 2%, great. 3%, great. More and more people need to understand that this is the way men should be. And all this nonsense that's been talked about in the media for profit and all these other gains that people have is nonsense. It's destroying men, and we need to bring men back, or else we're going to lose this entire world and our existence. And we don't want to have that happen. All right, my friends, God bless you guys, and always remember to battle on!